It doesn't appear to make a difference how much cash you have, it is rarely enough. We are caught in a jail of spend and devour. A few of us figure out how to discover approaches to escape the framework and live satisfied lives on basically nothing. However, for the greater part of us, that is nevertheless an unrealistic fantasy. This rundown takes a gander at the cash we use to get by in our day-by-day shopping-filled lives, and furthermore quickly takes a gander at monetary forms and funds from firmly related places in time. 10. In God We Trust. Ben Franklin structured the mainland dollar coin in 1776 and it bore 13 stars to speak to the 13 provinces. Being an amusing man, he additionally incorporated the expression, "Time passes quickly, so mind your business," on the coins. It was not until 1865 that "In God We Trust" was lawfully permitted to be added to American money. However, prior structures incorporated the expression, "God and our right." There was in reality a great deal of conversation around whether to incorporate "In God We Trust" on the cash, and every once in a while it dropped out of utilization. In any case, at that point in 1908 it got compulsory for the expression to be set on all coins or notes whereupon it had recently been printed. However, it was as yet not required on categories that had never borne the sentence. And afterward in 1956, President Eisenhower marked the law, making it necessary to remember it for all U.S. cash. 9. U.S. dollars aren't greenbacks. Current U.S. dollars aren't greenbacks. Greenbacks were dollars made and utilized by Republican President Abraham Lincoln during the 1860s. They were made due to legitimate need, as the association was going to quick come up short on cash to battle the Common War. So in 1861, Congress allowed the printing of 50 million request notes, which were printed with green ink on the converse, in this way prompting the authoring of their well-known name. It before long became clear that these would likewise not be sufficient to battle the war. Thus, hesitantly, President Lincoln started giving full legitimate delicate U.S. dollars, additionally imprinted in green on the opposite side. In spite of the way that these, and an assortment of different notes through the course of U.S. monetary history, are did not print anymore, they all stay lawful delicate. However, in the event that you discover one, it might be worth more on the off chance that you save hold of it for the noteworthy intrigue. 8. Rare bills. Once in a while observed U.S. divisions exist or have existed before. Basically everybody thinks about the $2 note now, so you can no longer utilize it to trick individuals. However, another lesser known, and certainly less inclined to be seen, note is the $100,000 that was imprinted during the 1930s for use between banks as gold notes after the annulment of private gold proprietorship. These are as yet unlawful to claim. These notes made it simpler for the U.S. government to ransack the whole country and hand its riches over to a privately owned business with mystery possession. More on that soon. At different occasions there were additionally $500, $1,000, $5,000, and $10,000 noticed, all of which stay lawful delicate right up till the present time. However, like greenbacks, these are worth more to gatherers than their assumed worth, so don't spend them. 7. Graybacks and Redbacks. While we've all known about the greenback, lesser known are the grayback and redback. The grayback was the money of the Confederate States of America, and 1 million were given only preceding the beginning of the Common War. They had no incentive past the guarantee of the Confederate States government to pay out in case of winning the Common War or shaping an arrangement with the United States. Their worth changed significantly as fights were won and lost, with a monstrous 20% depreciation happening quickly upon the loss of the Gettysburg Battle. And then there is the redback. The redback was the official cash of the Republic of Texas, gave in 1839 and 1840 to help spread the expenses of the national obligation. On the whole, they gave cash in the accompanying categories: $5, $10, $20, $50, $100, and $500. The bills were called redbacks in light of the shade of the ink used to print them. $6 coins. This is the place everything got its beginning. The Spanish dollar, called the bit of 8, real de an ocho or peso, was utilized all through pre-progressive America and was likewise broadly utilized the world over, to such an extent that it was viably the principal worldwide money. It stayed lawful delicate in the U.S. even past freedom until 1857. Dollar originates from Taylor, the name of a coin previously stamped in the 16th century and named for Joachimsthal, where the silver for the coin was mined. The dollar image's source is obscure, with the best suppositions being that it is an abnormality of the P and S from Spanish pesos, or that it is just a twisted variation of the number 8, alluding to the bits of 8. Nowadays the omnipresent silver dollar has transformed into a gold dollar along the lines of dollar coins found in different countries. The American dollar coin, envisioned, isn't as often as possible seen in spite of being given as change by various open vehicle frameworks, for example, the New York Metro. 5. Money versus currency. Before we proceed, we need somewhat groundwork. Cash isn't money and the other way around. Here's a decent rundown of what cash is. Mode of exchange: it is broadly acknowledged as a mode of trade. Versatile: it can be conveyed along and traded. Tough: it can be utilized various occasions without debasing. Fungible: its one unit is proportionate to another. Distinct: it can be separated into littler units of significant worth. Store of value: it ought to keep up its buying power. Gold is generally a case of cash. It meets the entirety of the above standards. In any case, shouldn't something be said about the money in your pocket? That isn't a store of significant worth for reasons that will get obvious as you read. The money in your pocket is cash. It remains instead of genuine cash, and it is a valuable thing when eager governments can figure out how to keep the flexibly steady. However, as a rule they can't. It used to be that the best quality level gave us a limited measure of cash against which we could peg our money. However, in 1971 Nixon stunned the world by making the US dollar coast with the guarantee that the cash gracefully would stay stable. This implied America didn't need to trade US cash for physical gold. The issue is that as more interest emerged for government spending, more cash got printed. At the point when you print new money, it is called expansion and it degrades the current stock. On the off chance that the administration multiplied the money gracefully tomorrow, all the money in your pocket would be worth half. It resembles a covertness charge. Quantitative facilitating in 2008 did only that: it enormously overexpanded the flexibility of US dollars. That money needed to head off to some place, so it wound up being siphoned into the securities exchange and prompted the present circumstance where stocks are recorded with values that have neither rhyme nor reason, zero benefits with super stock costs. This doesn't look good for what's to come. 4. No one knows who owns the private banks. Cash is printed by the exclusive Federal Reserve Bank. The Federal Reserve isn't an administration establishment. It is claimed by a gathering of state central bank banks, and thusly, they are possessed by, well, nobody knows. It's hard to believe, but it's true. The control of the US dollar is on the whole in the hands of a mystery gathering of individuals. All we know for certain is that the present bank was made on December 23, 1913, with most Democrats casting a ballot to make the bank and most Republicans casting a ballot against making it. It is the third national bank in the U.S., with the first being made in 1791 when George Washington marked it into creation at the encouraging of Alexander Hamilton. Its sanction lapsed in 1811, and after 5 years, in 1816, James Madison reinstated it as the second U.S. national bank, which went on until 1837. After that there was no national bank until the production of the present took care of. Strikingly, during this season of no national bank, Andrew Jackson turned into the solitary president ever to take care of the national obligation. 3. It is made from thin air. Here is a disentangled clarification of how money comes to exist. The U.S. Treasury prints a thing called a Treasury bond T-security, which is a guarantee to pay the assumed worth. In addition to premium, you get paid your advantage every year, and the T-security in the end gets paid off, typically 30 years. The Federal Reserve Bank makes details in its spreadsheets which successfully rises to a lot of cash without physical structure, and uses it to purchase the bond from the Treasury division. Treasury would then be able to print money and mint coins. Unexpectedly, cash has appeared from nothing aside from a guarantee of reimbursement with premium. So every dollar available for use right currently is an obligation guaranteed by the Treasury to the holders of the Treasury bonds, the Fed and the general population. The Fed holds $2.5 trillion of U.S. Treasuries, which is around 1/6 of U.S. obligation held outside the administration. 2. You pay tax because of it. Somebody needs to pay the enthusiasm on the treasuries referenced in the past thing, yet the money originates from the Fed, so where does the cash originate from for the premium? Assessment. In 1913 both the central bank framework was made, and the federal, with a capital F, government organized annual charges. Those duties are utilized, to some degree, to pay the enthusiasm attributable to the private bank for the treasuries it possesses. At this point you may have seen something very huge. This is a legitimate Ponzi plot. The treasury makes money out of nowhere to pay enthusiasm on the cash it previously made out of nowhere. We as a whole realize what occurs in a Ponzi plot eventually, so here's the brilliant inquiry: for what reason doesn't the treasury simply print the cash as it did in the days of yore and annihilate the premium part? Abraham Lincoln did it. Garfield detested focal banking and, reworded, said that whoever controls the cash of a country, controls that country and is total ace of all industry and trade. McKinley was harshly against a fiat money. They state JFK was wanting to re-establish cash versus money. These folks didn't simply detest national banks. They shared something different for all intents and purpose. I wonder what it was? 1. The end is nigh. Recall when I clarified that the Fed possesses every one of those treasuries? Would you like to hear something frightening? From 2008 the economy about passed on as the property showcase started crumbling, bringing the financial part down with it. So the legislature, related to the leaders of the banks and the central bank, thought of an arrangement: quantitative facilitating. In its most oversimplified structure the thought was this: the Fed will purchase all the terrible home loans. This, they found, was an astute little device they could utilize again later when the economy appeared as though it may vacillate. In the event that an organization seems as though it could go down and take the economy with it, no issue, the Fed can simply rescue them with stock purchases. This, obviously, expels chance from the free market, which prompts horrendous conduct. What we have now isn't free market private enterprise, it is national bank-driven pseudo-free enterprise. Organizations don't flourish in view of their benefits, they flourish in light of the fact that an intrigue of obscure brokers is channeling cash at them. Involve Wall Street had a ton to do with dismissing this thought. Occupying individuals' consideration regarding other increasingly inconsequential issues is especially in the bank's eventual benefits at the present time. Try not to peep behind the curtain. President Trump much of the time applauds the condition of the economy, and I comprehend he is attempting to satisfy a vocation of stirring buyer good faith, however he is dead off base. Notwithstanding what he says, we are on the edge of a calamitous misery on the grounds that the central bank is printing cash and purchasing up awful stock everywhere to shroud what is coming. In 2008 the Fed kicked the can not far off. In 2020 we are approaching the finish of that street. We're at the end of this video. If you like the video, don't forget to comment, like the video and subscribe to the channel.